Welcome to another episode of geekoutdoors.com. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to use the free and open source video editor called Shotcut. Now this video editor is multi-platform, which means that this is available on Microsoft Windows, Apple Mac, or Linux, and all you have to do is just download and install it. And so with this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you all the main features that this has to offer, and at the same time show you how to create your very first project. So even if you've never used Shotcut before, or even ever done any type of video editing, I think this is going to be a very powerful tool for you to use. And most importantly, all of this is going to be free, so you don't have to pay a single penny to use this awesome tool. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, once you open up Shotcut for the very first time, you're going to see a project window. So there's new project and also recent project. And what you want to do here is choose the folder that you want to store all your projects in. And then you want to name the project. And after that, you choose a video mode. There are a variety of resolutions and frame rates available up to 4K. But if you don't want to choose a video mode, you could always leave it as automatic. So what that means is whatever clip that you put in here, it'll take that resolution and frame rate. So once everything is good here, you go ahead and click on start. And the first thing you'll notice is things are really bare. And that's not surprising because we haven't put any clips in here yet. So what I'm going to do is bring in some clips, and then I'm going to show you all the main features of this tool. And we're going to edit our very first project. To bring in clips into your project, you have a few options. You can either go here and open file and then choose the files that you want to bring in. Or if you have your folder open, you could simply drag all the clips that you need in here. Now the thing that's important here is the default view right here is on filters. Go here to playlists. So now you could drag in your clips. So we'll just go back to this folder. I'm going to highlight all of these clips. We'll just drag it into our project. And it might take a few seconds for all the thumbnails to appear. So once you brought all your clips into your project, what you'll now notice is you actually have a video preview of your clip right here in this window. Now there's actually two different views here. There is a source view, which is what all of these clips are. This is a source. And second is your project view. So that means once you start bringing clips down here, you'll be able to see your project view. However, if you haven't done that yet, what you'll notice is there's numbers on this particular timeline, which actually corresponds to the clips here. So what Shotcut has done is put all the clips into one timeline for you, and it's numbered it automatically for you. So with this, you could easily scrub through all your clips that you haven't yet brought into your timeline. So it allows you to quickly look and see which clips that you want to add without having to individually click on each one. So that is the project view. So going back to the source view, once you have it here, you could actually preview it and play it and scrub through the clip before you actually add it to your project timeline. And if you wanted to choose a different clip to view, just go ahead, go to the clip, and then double click right here, and it'll start playing. Now within your project timeline, you can have video clips, audio clips, or images. And once you've decided on which clips you want to use, all you have to do is drag it into your project timeline down here. And now we actually have our clip in our project timeline. And if you notice, this says V1. What that means is video 1. This is a track. Now here you could actually add multiple tracks. You could do that a few ways. You could either right click and add a track. So you could add an audio or video track, or you could go up here and do the same thing here. So I'll add a video track, and I'm also going to add an audio track. So let's go ahead and pull in another video up here. And we'll also pull in some audio down here. And what you notice here is that you could also name your tracks. So if you double click on it, you could name it something else. I'm just going to name it video 2, and we'll call this one video 1, and I'll leave the other one the same just to kind of show you how that works. And here for each track, you have a couple of controls. You could mute the volume. Or you could choose to not to see the video. If you don't want to see the video, like right here, I'll hide it. Or you could actually lock each track, which means no changes can be made. So this is a really quick and handy tool that allows you to control the audio and visuals, and also any changes that you make on each one of these tracks. And another thing that you notice for the videos, you'll also see an audio waveform below. So if it does have audio with it, it's going to show a waveform. And a cool thing you could do within Shotcuts is you could easily separate the audio from the video. So if you have a clip selected, right click, and you could actually detach the audio. And what it would do is it will put the audio in its own separate audio track. And if you wanted to bring that back, you could simply just move it right back up here. And now it's back onto your original video. Now before we begin editing, let's go ahead and take a tour of Shotcut so that we can get familiar with all the controls and how things work. And so we go up here, we can open files as we saw earlier. We could also open other as well. So if you have different devices that you want to open here, you could do that. Saving our file, undo, redo. And here, this is a peak meter. So what that means is if you had any audio, it actually monitors the audio levels right here. And then properties is whatever clip that you have selected here. And if you click on properties, it'll show properties of that particular clip. Whether it's a video clip, audio clip, or an image clip, it'll show the properties there. So next up we have recent. So these are all the files that we recently used. And then next to that is playlists, which is our playlist view right down here. And then we also have timeline, which is what we have here. So if for some reason our timeline doesn't show up, like for example, if I chose keyframes, see our timeline's not there anymore. You could go back here, click on timeline, and your timeline will show back up. Or you can use the tabs that are down here. And filters corresponds to this tab here. Then we'll go back here to our playlist. And under history, you can see all the history that you've done. So that's really nice to have. Here is export, so we'll get into that at the end of the video. So that's when you're ready to export your video. And similar to that, there are jobs. So these are export jobs. And this is full screen. So right now we're already in full screen. So those are all the controls up there. So now let's move back down over to our project timeline, and then we're going to go over these controls right here. So the first one is the one that we already saw earlier. Here you could add tracks, delete tracks, manipulate tracks, and you could also choose to show audio waveforms, which is on right now, or you could hide them. Similarly, you could do the same thing for video as well. You could show video thumbnails or hide them. I like to have these two things on. It just makes things a lot easier. And over to the right, we have the cut tool. So the cut tool allows you to choose a clip. You could cut it, and then you could move your playhead to wherever you want to, and then you can paste this right there. Or if you don't want to cut it and you want to copy that same clip, you could choose the copy tool, and then just move your playhead wherever you want, and then paste it. And then another thing you could do is you could also use the append tool. So let's go ahead and go to a different track. Let's go to this track right here, and we'll go ahead and choose the append. So it append that clip I just copied, and there it is. It adds that new track that I just copied over to this one. So next to append, we have something called ripple delete. So what this will do is, say for example, I deleted this clip right here. Well, if you choose ripple delete, it's going to shift all the clips over in this track over to the left, like so. Now, if you didn't choose ripple delete and say you just chose a clip and then press delete, then it just has this blank space right here, and your clip will still remain in that position. So this comes in really handy, say if you wanted to remove a clip and you wanted to move everything over without manually having to do that. So it is a handy feature. So now we have something called lift. So it removes the current clip without affecting positions of all the other clips. So we choose that. It removes it. And next to that, we have overwrite clip. So say for example, I want to add a clip to this particular track. So what I would do is go back to source, and I would choose a clip I want to add, and then choose overwrite clip into current track, and it'll add it to this current track. So it's a really easy tool to use, and I can really see this being useful for a lot of people if they wanted to add multiple tracks in different spaces without having to manually drag them in there. And here we actually have the split at playhead. So this is basically the cut tool. I don't know why they call this a cut. So when you click on this, it makes a cut or a split wherever your playhead is. So there you could split clips really easily by just using this split at playhead tool. So now we have this thing called snapping. So what snapping means is if you were to bring a clip closer to another one, it'll like snap, like a magnet. It just attaches it. Now if you turn the snapping tool off, what's going to happen now is whenever you bring a clip near another one, nothing's going to happen. So if you let go, it just stays right there instead of snapping the two clips together. And if you keep moving your clip over the one previous to it, it will create a transition. And the same thing will happen even if you have the snapping tool on. Just move it over the previous clip and a transition is created. And I'll go over transitions later on in the video. So that's the snapping tool. Now the next one that we have is this right here. This is called scrub while dragging. So right now you could actually move clips around, and nothing will really happen above it right here. So say for example I'll move this clip around, nothing's happening, right? Now if you actually put on this scrub while dragging tool, you turn it on, now whenever you move things around, it'll actually scrub through the video, as you can see there on top. So it's a pretty cool feature. So the next tool we have here is ripple, trim, and delete. So right now with every clip you could actually trim it, meaning you could shorten it from the original clip. And so that's a little bit easier in some cases than doing this whole cut of the clip. Now if you do this right now, nothing's really going to happen with any clips next to it. It'll just leave whatever space is there. However, if you use this ripple, trim, and delete tool, it does something a little different when it comes to spaces. So let's go ahead and put the back together here, and I'm going to turn this on. Now if you do this trim, it moves everything over and it doesn't have that space. And then if you move to the right, the same thing happens there. So that's really cool if you just want to keep everything together and not have to remove the spaces, just as I showed earlier. That's a ripple delete. So that's what the ripple, trim, and delete does. And so the final option that we have here is ripple edit across all tracks. So let me show you what that means. So if we go down here to this track and we move this over and we want to delete or ripple delete this right here, we right click and remove, and it'll simply just move that clip over. Now if you were to use the ripple delete across all tracks, let's go ahead and choose this. You'll do the same thing, right click, remove, and now it moves everything over. And so there are cases where you might want to do that, but there's some cases where you might not, but it's great that you have this option there. So this is all the main features that we have down here, and now you have pretty much a complete understanding of all the features up here and down here, and overall what the options are available for you when you're editing. So now let's go ahead and put our entire video together and also go over transitions. For serious YouTubers, check out TubeBuddy, the premier tool news at geekoutdoors.com. Get more done today by checking out the affiliate link in the description area below. Now for this very first video project, we're not going to be doing anything fancy, but what we will be doing is taking everything that we learned here today and putting it all together. And so the first thing I wanted to do is remove this audio track. So all I'm going to do is right click and then remove track. Next up, I want to go to this beginning clip and I want to add a title. So I've selected a clip. And the next thing I want to do is choose filters. You probably remember seeing this earlier when I talked about transitions. And the thing with Shotcut is that everything is here. All your effects, filters, transitions are all located here for both video and audio. And if there is an effect that you like, that you want to add as a favorite, all you have to do is choose this. And then whenever you go to your favorites tab, it now shows up here. And similarly, you could uncheck it to remove it from your favorites. And so what I want to do here is add a simple text. So I'll go down here, choose text simple, and all you have to do is double click on it. And now it's right there on top of our clip. And the default for this is time code, so it shows you where you're at on your playhead. So let's go ahead and change that. We'll put in something a little bit more exciting. And I want to change this font as well. Change it to something, I guess, a little more sci-fi. Yep. And I could also add an outline as well. So this isn't going to be winning any design awards, but it's going to quickly show you how things might look like. And here we could also add a background as well. Let's go a little bit wild on the background. Yes. And then below that, you could also adjust the position and the size, but I'm going to show you an easier way to do that. But if you know the numbers and dimensions that you want, you could do it here. And you could also choose the horizontal positioning and vertical positioning as well, as you can see here. So super easy. Now, if you wanted to adjust this without having to change the numbers, you could simply go over here to your window, and then you could resize it as you like. And you could reposition it as you like as well. And so let's see how that cool new title looks like. Yeah, that's pro level right there, as you could probably tell. And so that's how we add a text effect. And now let's go ahead and add a transition. So what I want to do is add a transition between these two clips. And so the easiest way to do that is you simply drag this clip over the previous clip, as we probably saw earlier in the video. Now when we go here, it goes back to the filters. As I showed you earlier, you could add whatever transitions that you want. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to add ones that are fairly popular. Let's go ahead and do a fade in video. So we go here, and there it fades in. And then let me add some other filters as well, because this is what's cool about Shotcut. You can add multiple filters in here. So let's add a circle, and we'll watch that again. Yeah. So now we kind of fade in, circle, and at the same time you can also make adjustments to each of the transition filters. So this is for the circle, and if I do fade in video, you could change the duration. This is really cool. And at the same time, you could also resize your transitions. Say for example, you want the transition to be a little bit longer, you would just simply extend this transition, and now it's going to be there a little bit longer, as you see here. So the transition's going to go a lot slower, but it's going to stay there a little bit longer as well. And so that's how you would use transitions. And the cool thing is you could just keep adding more and more of them if you like. So Shotcut does a really good job of letting you add these filters without slowing down the preview on your actual timeline. So I do like that. Now, if you wanted to remove any of these filters, or all you have to do is go up here, choose the remove, and it will remove the selected filter. And if you want to remove a transition, select it and then press delete, and the transition is gone. And we can simply drag this back. And so that's how you would add a transition. And with that, this is the main parts of how you would edit a video. The most powerful thing that you have here is your filters. So I think that's where a lot of people are going to be spending their time, just fine-tuning their video, adding whatever effects and filters that they want. And so once you put it all together and then knowing what you know here, you're going to have your very first video. And the final thing I want to touch on just briefly is keyframes. So down here on the left, you'll notice we have a keyframes tab right here. Currently we are on the timeline tab, and you can even go up here to do keyframes. So keyframes are what allows you to basically add different things at certain points in the video clip. So for example, if I clicked on keyframes right now, it shows you where the keyframes are. So this is the beginning, green, and red is at the end. And so I'm going to show you how this keyframe works briefly on another clip. So this is a short clip. So I'm going to go back to my timeline, and I'm going to come to this longer clip. So I'll show you what I mean. So in this case, let's go ahead and add a text, because I think this is where keyframes comes in handy. So we're going to add a text, and I'm going to just call this keyframe. Okay. So right now, if we go to the keyframe view, we'll notice is green is the beginning of the keyframe and red is the end. So what I want to do is I only want this keyframe to be in here near the beginning and not throughout the entire video. So this is how you control where your text shows up. So let's just say it just shows up right here. And you can do additional keyframing here. So in this case, I've actually did a whole clip keyframe, meaning I've adjusted where the keyframe is going to be. And then within that, you could add filter keyframes. Now, not all of the filters are going to be keyframeable, but the text does have one. And you could tell by looking at this right here, This is keyframe rule. It says use keyframes for this parameter. So in this case, I want to set a keyframe here. And what I want to do is, let's move a little bit further. And I want to go ahead and adjust where this text is at. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit smaller, and we'll move it up here. And let's shorten this keyframe even more, just so that we can make this quick so you can see it. So now that's there. So let's go back to our timeline. You could preview it here or just go back to your timeline. I'm going to go back to my timeline so you could kind of see how this looks like. So now on the second clip, there is our keyframe text, and now it's moving. So that's a really easy way for you to add keyframes. And as I stated earlier, you can add keyframes for certain filters. So you just have to look for this keyframe symbol. And now once you have everything done in your project, the final step is export. So whenever you click on export, you can choose a variety of different resolution audio options. So just go ahead and choose whatever you want, or you could take the settings from your timeline, whatever timeline settings that you had, then you could use that for your export. Now once you've done that, you could go ahead and just export your file, and you are done with your very first project within Shotcut. So that is it for this tutorial. Hopefully you learned a lot about Shotcut, and you've seen how powerful and easy to use this tool is. I really think this is an excellent tool for people who are beginning video editing. But at the same time, I think it also has a lot of great features, especially filters that allows you to do medium to even complex projects by using this. So if you actually had any thoughts on anything that I've shown you here today, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And if you wanted to see my other video editing tutorials, I will leave all of that in the description as well for people who want to learn how to use Openshot, Kdenlive, Davinci Resolve, and possibly even more Shotcut tutorials in the future. So as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hey geeks, if you are a creative geek like me and you wanted to learn how to create content on YouTube and other places on the internet, then check out my Go Content Creators group, where you get access to additional videos and content for all the creative geeks out there. And the best part of it is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and sign up for my Go Content Creators group. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.